this is really one of the first times in Canada where the legal case against mandatory vaccination has been brought before a legal tribunal like a labor board, which applied the principles of Canadian government to find that, in fact, these vaccine mandates are improper and that they cannot be enforced. And so that the labor board issued a cease and desist order so that these cannot be enforced by a public employer, a large public employer, against these workers. So it's a great sign. And really, I've been saying to people for a while now that I really feel that I think that we've actually passed a tipping point, and that we're going to start to see, some real progress in the recognition of workers' rights in this country, and that we're going to succeed in beating this back.
Adam Sos here for Rebel News, and we have got some excellent news. I am joined now by Leighton Gray. If you could maybe just introduce yourself, let people know what you're working on, and then let us know what led up to this important news today, this breaking story, so to speak.
Great. Thanks, Adam. So my name is Leighton Gray. I'm a lawyer in private practice in Alberta. We have offices in Cold Lake and Calgary, and our firm has been fighting lockdown measures for some time. Really going all the way back to more than a year now. We're also one of the law firms that's been engaged by the Democracy Fund, which has been an initiative that was created by Ezra Levant and Rebel News to fund leading cases in Canada that will have broad-reaching effect for all Canadians, and especially Canadian workers impacted by these vaccine mandates. One of the cases that has been referred to us by the Democracy Fund is on behalf of over 200 CN workers who are impacted by the vaccine mandate that's been issued. This is pursuant to the ministerial order that was made by the Minister of Transport last week, which essentially dictates that all CN workers must mandatorily vaccinate, must take the COVID vaccine in order to continue their employment.
We are continuing to take action to help keep Canadians safe from COVID-19. In the transportation sector, this means rules are in place requiring travelers to be vaccinated in order to board planes, trains, or vessels as of October 30th. Starting tomorrow, passengers flying on domestic, transborder or international flights departing from Canada and passengers on Via Rail and the Rocky Mountaineer trains must be fully vaccinated in order to board. Let me be very clear. If you are not fully vaccinated against COVID-19 by the end of November, you will not be allowed to board a plane or train in Canada.
The ministerial order requires them to disclose their vaccination status by the 15th of November, which of course is in and of itself a violation of human rights, Canadian human rights, because of course it violates a person's protection, their privacy, because their vaccination status is something that properly should be private and just between them and their doctors. That's one thing. But then of course, if they don't declare that vaccination status, they would then be subjected to what's called an involuntary unpaid leave of absence, which in my opinion is legal double speak for constructive dismissal. If you're available for work and your employer tells you, no, I'm not going to let you work and go home and we're not going to pay you, to me, that's indistinguishable in fact or law from being dismissed. So the decision that just came down recently, that I just learned about it a few minutes before I came on with you, is very important because it's going to put a cease and desist, an effective cease and desist on this objectionable, vile practice of dismissing workers really in violation of not only their human rights, but their employment rights. Yes, right before I got on with you today, I received a letter, and this is from the Canadian Union of Public Employees, Local 2745, and this is respecting a labor board challenge on designated employees who were issued these unpaid leaves without pay. So essentially, these are workers who were refusing to take the COVID-19 vaccine, refused to even declare whether or not they were vaccinated. And so according to the ministerial order that was issued, they were told, look, don't come to work. We're not going to pay you. So what they did is they took up this issue as a grievance with the union, And this letter informs that this past Monday morning, the complaint was heard, that the complaint was brought before the Labor and Employment Board of New Brunswick to challenge the government's move to put designated employees on these leaves without pay, which we say are essentially wrongful terminations, constructive dismissals. And the lawyers for the union presented the case in a virtual hearing that took nearly 3 hours. They were just informed on Monday that they had won their challenge. And the Labor Board has declared that the government did not have the ability to make this move. And the board chair issued a cease and desist order. So this means that all the employees who had been sent home under these vaccine mandate orders and told that they were put on involuntary leave without pay are entitled to go back to work. So this is a great sign. First of all, it's disturbing that this letter has not been made public and that, the mainstream media has not reported on it. That's disturbing. It's just as troubling that the Canadian government and New Brunswick government have not made this public, because you would think that this would be important information, considering that it affects thousands of employees, really all across, tens of thousands of employees all the way across Canada. So that's troubling. But it's great news in the sense that it shows that this is really one of the first times in Canada where the legal case against mandatory vaccination has been brought before a legal tribunal like a Labor Board, which applied the principles of Canadian government to find that, in fact, these vaccine mandates are improper and that they cannot be enforced. And so that the Labor Board issued a cease and desist order so that these cannot be enforced by a public employer, a large public employer, against these workers. So it's a great sign. And really, I've been saying to people for a while now that I really feel that I think that we've actually passed a tipping point, and that we're going to start to see, some real progress in the recognition of workers' rights in this country, and that we're going to succeed in beating this back. But this is an encouraging sign, and we've been looking for encouraging signs. And so I think that hopefully this will provide some confidence and inspiration to all the people across Canada who I know you talk to and everybody at Rebel talks to. And your network is one of the voices